almost everybody you see, has one element of thinking or not thinking. Okay. But what power is to say that there's a process, and that process follows careful scientific method. So that is what makes our thinking for it to qualify to a research. So research looks into what is called specific problems. Permit me to just speak because of the audience. I also know the audience cut across many fields, many disciplines. So when people ask you what is your discipline, uh, you just say, so what's your discipline? They ask what's your field? What the simple interpretation of it is to say that within this broad issue of problems, which area of problem are you focusing on in resolving issues? So, for instance, I'm trained as a social scientist. I'm a demographer. So when I say I do my research, therefore, people expect to say that my research is within that field of trying to look into how do you identify social problems? How do you also profile, within those identification, use of your scientific method to profile some kind of solution. So there are those that their own research is not in social sciences, can be in law. But within social sciences also the partition is so wide. There are those that their research is more into political issues. And you will agree with me that with the last issues around Nigeria election, it's obvious there are so many big political problems that we have in Nigeria. So for each of those, it requires a lot of research because there are problems. How people use social media to fabricate all kind of issues, lies, truth, etc. It's a big issue. There are big problems. So, and there are those also who are in the in sociology field. Okay. So within that also, there are those who are in health-related area. So they look into health-related problems. And within their field, they try to also solve those problems with scientific methods. There are those in technology. There are those who are in pharmacy. All they try to do, is look into addressing issues of health with their scientific method in terms of manufacturing drugs and looking into how drugs also solve, some of those specific problems. So within this area of research, therefore, there are those issues that looks into the biases that people have across these disciplines, across these different fields. But irrespective of where we are, we also say that research is about creating new knowledge. Because it is important, for us to learn to say that, well, within our field, what I'm trying to do therefore is also to provide new information. Research is not about repeating what has been done. I mean, somebody have done something 20, 30 years ago. You are just stating exactly what that person has done. There's no improvement to it. That is not research. So research is about creating new knowledge. And in creating new knowledge, it means a lot. It can't be just creating new knowledge in terms of generating new concepts. To every field, there are concepts, right? So people every time want to review, wants to redefine some of those concepts. It can be about methodology. Okay, to say, oh, maybe this approach you use, can there be a better way of approaching it? Either to get, you may still get the same answer or something different. Are there new methods, to use to solve this either in the social sciences, in technology, in pharmacy, in core sciences, physics, chemistry, or even in health-related areas? So research look into that aspect of creating what we term to be new knowledge. So we said therefore, so new knowledge can only be an outcome of research. It could be about synthesis analysis of previous research, or you want to study something new completely. So with research, therefore, also is other concepts. You would have heard the word innovation before. Okay, innovation is closely linked, to research. But what therefore brings innovation out is to say that innovation looks more into the manifestation of creativity, into a usable product or service. And so we also use it more in terms of entrepreneurship, now that we're talking generally in Nigeria to see how we change, some of our curriculum, our mode of teaching, so that people can also then think innovatively, irrespective of your field. You can think innovatively within your field to bring out what makes you important in terms of bringing out a service. It doesn't matter which field you are, either you are in religious studies, you are in history, you can be in law, you can be in science or technology. So to each of those fields, there are opportunity for people to think, in a very innovative way to also bring a product of research. So to power, we talk about the context of bringing entrepreneurship within your field. Because that is also what makes you important. People have said that some say think that, academics is not worth it. But I mean, it's because people lack, what it means to be able within their own field to think deeply and bring out what is unique, within their research that makes them important, in terms of creating innovation to bring new ideas. It can be products, it not even be products, it can be through what you do to be able to provide services. It can be innovation in terms of even what drives policy. So to research also is what we therefore link it with innovation. So permit me to say this, to say that there's no way you can divorce development and research, because research powered development. And the more developed any entity is, the more those entity also invest, in research. So at all levels, whether you think about it globally or regionally or nationally or at subnational level, research powered development. And that is why, for instance, you look into the countries of this world, you want to talk about the richest country, you list about 20 of them. Go and look into their research base also. In terms of research, you also see that they will be the leading countries in terms of the research products that they have. Okay, go and look into countries that we also classify to be poor countries. Just look at them. Then just also, as I look into to show rich countries of this world, poor countries of this world, they also go and look into their indicators for research. See that the poor countries of this world, in terms of research also, they will be lowly placed. So it's also with individuals, translate to, many arts. So the message is clear to say for entities that invest a lot into research or that have very strong research culture, there's this every tendency also to say that the developmental indicators will be very, very high. So similar to those also that we regarded to be poor, go and look into their research. The research also is also likely to be very, very low. So it translates to individuals, it translates to community, it translates to whatever thing that you think about. And I can say one or two things. When you also see people who are research minded, you see that they're a bit different. Some of us were privileged to watch a beautiful Nubia yesterday. I just plan to be there for like 10 minutes just to see that the program uh, is open, then that we leave. But you see, because when you listen to beautiful Nubia, for instance, see that it's not just singing. It's not just singing that come and dance. No. So his songs are component of research, So his songs are components, that makes you to think that, oh, this guy really sat down, to research into what he's trying to do. So to also individual, to the business, students, research helps you, to be able to define exactly uh, who you are in terms of sense. I've talked to my students many times to say, well, if you are really looking for something, that can propel you up, then that thing is research. Because for people who are very outstanding in research, you will stand before kings. They want to listen to you because you have the solution to their problems. So research is one thing that breaks some barriers, barrier of poor, rich, because if you're a good researcher, You stand before anybody to, make your input to research. And it also help you because if you're a very good researcher also, you are not likely to be extremely poor. Okay. So particularly for those of us who are students, I want you to take this very, very, uh, take this point to your heart. Don't just come to university to come and do the cramming and go out. Learn some of those research skills and some of those things that will help you as you navigate your life, either within this university or even outside. So I just want to show you some very funny examples, and of what, when you say research and development, what it really translates to. And I'm going to look into some examples across, Uh, if you remember, let's say, for instance, during the 9/11 crisis in the US, you will see this type of helicopter, right? 9/11, 2011, that was like 21 years ago. You will see this type of helicopters, just hovering, moving around, BBC, CNN. So then to have this type of news capture, uh, then, BBC needs to take helicopter, needs to hire pilot, needs to hire cameraman, put all of them together and say, oh, then go and capture this story, breaking news. You always see this kind of thing. But for those of us who see, if you see through to your CNN or BBC, I don't think you will see this kind of thing on your CNN or your BBC within this last 5, 6 years. Again, thanks Toby. Toby helped me to get these pictures together. And now the more I see, the more I remember, what happened, CNN, those breaking news. You see this helicopter hovering. So that means for CNN or BBC or whatever you think about, some 20 years ago, you must be able to buy at least few of these choppers. You must be able to have a pilot, at least one, within your entourage. You must be able to have a cameraman there, who is taking his camera, to talk about what is happening. But this is what you see now. So what does that tell you? Within just a space of 10 years, those who are manufacturing those type of chopper may be out of business. The cameraman that you see there carrying may be out of business. The pilot may be looking for somewhere else to go and work. Because this thing you see now, what do they call this thing? Anybody?
Drone.
Sorry?
Drone.
It's called a drone. Thank you. So do you need a pilot with this? With
Yeah.
this one, you don't need a pilot, right? You don't need a pilot with this. You don't need a cameraman with this. You don't even need to buy a shopper. And this thing will capture just even more than what the previous one has done. So these are product of research. People sitting down, looking at to say, do we really need to invest in this? Are there no other better way we can do? Then they sat down and, they made this. Okay. How many of us are familiar with these stuff? Let's start from the first one to your left. Uh, what do they call it? Telephone. So you can see the movement first from the one you have to use your finger to go and be pressing gang, 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 to the one that you just press the number. Hmm? Then when Nokia 3310 came, you say, the world has come to an end. You are now carrying your phone in your pocket. But you can see the evolution. So this is what it means by research. Okay. Research, people have to sit down, think. Is there no other innovation we can do? Is there no better way we can do this? Rather than using our hand to be doing a circle. Can't we turn it to digital? You press 1, 2, 3. Then some people also think, oh no, why not think about, can't you even carry it? Must your phone be in your house? Can't you carry it? So for many of us who are younger people, for those of us who are less than 20, let me tell you that in Nigeria, until like year 2001, we don't have a mobile phone. I got my own first mobile phone in the year 2002, right? That would be like how many years ago now? 21 years ago. Until then, I don't even know anything like that can ever exist. Okay. So that is what is called research. Research bringing new things to form. So, but this is within the sphere of technology, right? But you even know now that many people, you don't even need to carry your phone around because with your wristwatch, you can do all, that the phone can do. So that's within the field of technology. In the field of earth sciences, there are many other issues around research, that people have done. And I was trying to do a review during the COVID, and we saw that a lot of people now are relying, on information on the internet, to even do a lot that they want to do. So many of those issues before, let's say, for instance, this area of work with unsafe abortion, before people talk of having abortion and they use all kind of methods, dilation and curettage, all kind of that people think are a lot of high risks to health. But now there are medicine, there are people can tell you can read the instruction, and they say it is safe, okay, for people to take. So in every field, you know, people sit down, to think about this research and see, what to do with uh, whatever thing that they see. In the field of social sciences, we've always defined to say you identify a problem by thinking about what are the expectations people have in terms of some of those social norms, and what are those deviations, around it. For instance, issue of young people who should be in school, who are pregnant. People have done a lot of research, around that. I was in nursing of recent when somebody was trying to develop an app, to help young people, so that the issue of unwanted pregnancy among adolescents will be reduced. So there are problems all around, either social problems, legal problems, political problems, health problems, that require people to continue. And don't forget the word I used when I started, there's an unending search, and the space is also available for you. But there are skills that researchers must have. Uh, it's not a wishful thing that you just sit and say, I want to be a researcher. Yes, that's where I start. But to be a researcher, there are skills that are very, very important. And that is, it's important to state that the university provides some of those skills. So I was talking to a group of people yesterday, and I told them to say, well, the desire to be a good researcher may be more than what somebody will teach you in class. It may require you yourself to want to make some investment, beyond the normal thing of going to class to listen to your teacher. You may want to be able to sit down on your own, go to the library on your own, learn. There are so many online resources now where you can learn new things. So I will just be able to talk briefly on some of those research skills. These are not hard. I just pick some few that are relevant for us to discuss, particularly. Uh, I'm mindful of those who are new, either those who are just starting their PhD or masters, or some of those who are undergraduates. Research skills start with what is called critical thinking. And again, I must thank the Central Office of Research. Uh, uh, I think the last seminar they had for early career people was focused on critical thinking. And the resource person said that critical thinking is not just even for research alone. They even help you as an individual to process many things. So we need to be able to engage this critically. Okay. If you continue to agree things on the surface, you are not likely to turn out to be a good researcher. A good researcher must have a mind that is able to process things and think deep about it, think critically about it. Uh, a good researcher must, but that's the whole process of education to help us to process our things from moving away from being judgmental, to thinking critically, more about things. Uh, if you have a student that comes late to class every day, um, maybe it's habitual coming class late, or your friend, your colleague, who is always coming to class late, when the person is in class, it's always dozing off. Rather than judging the person, that's one of the beauty of academics. Rather than judging the person, why don't you think critically? Because that's where I start from. And then again, that why, why is this person doing this? And that is also what we bring into research. That's the first rudimentary entry to critical thinking. Asking yourself what is called the root cause analysis. Rather than say, oh, this person is like this. Then you want to ask, why is this person, behaving in this way? Maybe the person coming to class to sleep, you don't know. Maybe the person was not prepared like many people. Maybe he or she needs to walk overnight somewhere, rush to class, all kind of issues. So, but when we think critically, we're able to engage in more deeply, be able to process things, being able to separate some facts, from fictions, you know. Uh, so a good researcher must develop that ability, thinking critically. You also need to be open-minded. One of those big problems we have, particularly for those of us who are in social sciences, and even some other field, is that our value orientation, is beclouded, either with culture, with religion, with oh no, this is how things have been done. So people are not open-minded to so many other things, to learn, new things, because it matters, it's part of the skills, as a researcher. If you come from a point to say that this is it, and it must not change, either because of your own religious orientation or cultural orientation, you are not likely to be a good researcher. A good researcher must be able to approach things, differently, from a kind of open mind. So when you read with open mind. When you want to discuss, with open mind. Uh, I teach my students to say research is not about being a fan of Arsenal or being a fan of Chelsea. Every time you must say, no, 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 you must be open-minded. You must be open to listen to criticism, to also be able to be fed in a very open-minded way, not judging, based on your own area that things that have already beclouded you. Those things are soft skills. They are very, very important and they crucial. A good researcher must be able to read and analyze things. Uh, One of those things that we come to university to do is, to be refined, to be processed. So one of those things that refine us is ability to read. You must be able to read into the area of interest where you want to work. Because again, you don't want to continue to reinvent the wheel. It's only politicians that comes every 4 years with the same agenda. I will do road. I will do what they do now. They do water. They will do fix electricity. They come again next 4 years, it's the same thing. Research is not like that. You read so that you know what people have done. You also want to read to see, so what is the gap? How can I fill this gap? When you also read, you're able to analyze people, to analyze what the mind of those researchers are. So within that, you will also be able to understand. So where is the gap, in knowledge? Okay, that you want to contribute. Where is the gap in knowledge, and then terms of the concepts, in terms of the method that you think you want to contribute? So a big issue also now that we talk about in terms of research is analytical skills. Yes, there's the big data which provide a great opportunity. It's also like an unending area of research. It doesn't matter which field you are from. You can read history, but if you are very good with big data, I mean, the world wants to see you. I mean, there's a job. But beyond that, also are little analytical skills that people have. So one of those skills is, for instance, if you are able to analyze things qualitatively, just the way I'm talking now, people can tape record it and then listen and being able to process it. So in research, you say people have qualitative skills because they are able to analyze content able to analyze. You can just listen to music and have the skills to analyze it. And I think during some of this discussion, somebody will be taking us through those type of skills, qualitative skills. What do you need to know? When things are in tests and how do you develop a skill to be able to analyze things that are content that are in text, etc. There's also a whole lot of issues around quantitative skills. People being able to analyze data based on quantity, on numbers, and that field also is growing. And I think we also like to have somebody who is coming to help us just to have those basic knowledge of quantitative skills. So if you are a student and you are well versed, you have the skills to analyze qualitative data, or you have the skills to analyze quantitative data, you are not likely to be broke all the time because people will call you to come and do this type of thing for them. But again, as I said, you require a lot of training, you require a lot of understanding. So again, I want to encourage us, when you have your spare time, there are many resources online that we can use. And also the COR is also providing that opportunity for us to be able to learn a little about this thing. You can learn a little, then you can take it further. And permit me to say that even as a graduate student, AU, people are always calling me, to come and either be the qualitative analyst on their project, on the quantitative analyst on their project. And I was fine, I was fine. That's what I live on, they just call. So it's a good thing that I want to encourage you. Doesn't matter your level. Uh, I've always said this to say that the Nigerian mentality of title, I'm doing a PhD, I want to become a doctor. It's not the hinting. What matters for you is to be able to learn many of these skills. Whether you are doing a PhD or you are doing a master's or you are doing a BSc, don't leave the university without some of these skills, particularly in terms of analysis. It helps a lot. Also, it's what we call the writing skills. Uh, Writing skill is still what I'm still learning myself. But as I said again, it's an unending venture. Um, I've been privileged to sit down with a lady before, and I was part of a global project, and she told me that she wrote just 3 pages, and with that 3 pages, she won what is called a countdown project. Elizabeth, she won $15 million. 3 pages. So, but when I saw the way she writes, also, you will be convinced that a paragraph, the strength and the way she communicates is so powerful. So people also learn how to write. You know, uh, it's a lot of skills. Somebody present you, for instance, with qualitative data. How can you write it in a very convincing way? You are not lying about the data, but you write it. You write a good prose. It's a lot of training. Now people build those paragraphs, what people see, or somebody give you tables, to write. They're not asking you to say, okay, just turn this table into prose. No, they are asking you to say, okay, can you bring something important out of this table? So it's a lot of skill, that people learn. You learn from people, and I think some of those things also the COR is working on it, to see uh, how we can learn few of those things. Writing is critical, analysis is critical. The last one I will talk about is about presentation. Uh, that again is a big field, and if you have the substance, but your mode of presentation, if it's awkward, you'll be losing, you'll be losing that uh, at that point, what matters. So presentation itself also is a skill. And if you're a young person, you have access to internet, uh, there's a lot you can learn. The way people present now, it's not about just PowerPoint presentation. No, people are creative, using all kind of tools, in their presentation. Presentation itself now is becoming a big science, a huge science that you finish all your work, people are looking for, say, oh, please, can you help me turn this into 3 pages? Can you help me turn this into infographic? Can you help me, So those are skills, that if you have those skills and people know you have those skills, uh, as a student, you are likely to have opportunities, to work with a lot of people, and you make some decent income, that will help you. Again, I want to reemphasize that to be a researcher is not just something that you say, oh, I wish to be. No, you invest in being a researcher. You invest, and I highlighted just about 6. There are many, but I think this is for me a very important ability for you to think critically, be open-minded. You have to really cultivate the habit of reading. You want to be a great researcher. A great researcher is not someone that wastes time. See, a lot of young people, they just stay on social media wasting their time, joining irrelevant arguments. Whether it is Obi or Tinubu, what is your own headache? You know, because that precious time also is something you can use, to learn many of those things. Use it to read, use it to learn new things. Develop a good culture, learn about analytical skills, writing skills, and also presentation. So, in conclusion, the way we conclude is to say again, to go back to where I started from. Research and development are closely linked. And I'm not just talking about development of a nation, even development of individuals. You're a good researcher, you are likely to also be well developed. Okay. As I said also, it's an unending search. So there's a space for everybody. Don't look into your, in those states. So one of my professors, when I was in factory, said, oh, he said, Akanni said, you'll be a great researcher. I said, the way you think, the way you write. And in my mind, I was asking, how will I be a great researcher? You are there, in my field, you have like almost 6 professors. I will, because they already established, I was just in part 3. But looking back now, I think the man was saying just the obvious. It's an unending search. And there is a room for everybody. You can, with all those skills, you can exert who you are. It doesn't matter those who are in front of you. Yeah, they can even help you, to establish who you are, but it requires a lot of investment. So you make your research count, find a problem around you, and do your research to solve it. So I want to stop at this to listen to questions, and thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. This is right on the clock, and I believe that all of us who have been here will agree that it's been really exciting and it's been informative. Yes, thank you very much. So I have highlights, but then it's not about me today. It's about everyone else who have joined. So if you have questions, you may please put it, questions related to the lecture, you may please put it in the chat section, or I would like us to just use the raise hand icon so that I can call and invite people to ask their questions live. So if you have any question, please use the raise hand icon so that I can call you. So we've seen the kind of a more practical approach to what research is and how to and some of the skills we need to, the central skills to research itself that stands you out and then that helps you make the most of research. So questions, if you have questions, reactions. Oh, okay. So Prof Ma,
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Akanni, our DVC Research, Innovation and Development. Thanks for that stimulating talk. I'm just curious, when you talk about linking research and innovation, I feel comfortable to think that innovation brings in money, but how do you think I link this research? In my head, research is this formal thing that you must be a professor in the university to do. Innovation is something I can do outside of the university. I can, discover things, but you seem to link the two. Can you help me understand how the two links? Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Research and innovation. I chose some slides. Let me come to this. This is innovation, right? Moving from this. Sorry, can we see the first one on the left?
Okay, if I
Yes,
could
sir.
ask clarifying question, I know this is big innovation, like these people in companies, if you look at them, all these things that the
Yes.
Microsoft, but I mean, if it's relevant to my everyday life, I might not be in Microsoft. I can be in my house on my bed and I can innovate. I can innovate. I can just think, oh, this thing can do better and I can do it. I'm just thinking in my little world where I'm not in Microsoft company or in Apple. How do you link it? How does it move? I'm just curious. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Because innovation comes from that critical mind, to say, okay, there's a value. I mean, you are able to identify that value. It doesn't matter the small or big issue. Okay. As you rightly said, let's say even in our house, right? There's just something little you think you want to turn around, you know. I mean, it's a kind of value addition. So when we also think about research also, is this ability to be able to see it, I mean, you are able to identify to say, well, this is something new that I want to do. And I think research sounds a bit formal, to rightly said. And I will agree with you that you can innovate in your own little way without actually following through the paths of research. But in a big world, I mean, talking about converting issues to say, okay, how do we make it to say that instead of having a big phone at home, and when you are not at home, you can't receive a call, So having it this way, it requires a lot of research, which also power that kind of innovation. So I agree with you, man, that we can do our own innovation in our own little way, without investing, into this process of scientific research.
Thank you very much, sir. I wouldn't know. I don't know if we have any more questions. We still have a few minutes to field questions. So there we've heard it. Research, development, research, innovation, and development. They all flow into each other. So any more questions? If we do not have, do we have any? Before I Okay, so there. Oh, okay, right. Catherine Emako, you can unmute and ask a question. Catherine Emako. Oh, okay. Joshua Oyejide, you can ask a question. Unmute and ask. Okay, sorry. You cannot. All right. Okay. So Catherine Emako, you should be able to unmute now. Okay, Joshua, go ahead, please.
All right,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sir.
Okay,
Okay.
Catherine, yes. Good evening. Good morning.
Okay. Um, good morning, sir. Thank you so much, Prof, for the enlightening class. I would like to ask a question as regards to creativity. Presently, I see how much creatives are like more or less ruling the world. Like as much as you can create something in any kind of uh businesses or just generally, like for example tailors, people who do things with their hand, bead making and the likes. So I would like to ask, that is creativity also a part of research, or is it totally different? Like let me use a tailor for example. If I, as a tailor, I create a new design that's that doesn't exist, maybe by looking at some maybe I was in other designs that have existed, and then I created my own style, and it has never been before, and this is this is like the first creation of it. Could it be said to be a form of research, or creativity is just different from it? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Joshua?
Okay. Good morning, sir. Thanks so much for the enlightening webinar, sir. My question goes, I want to ask that why is that most research doesn't translate to physical realities most times? Probably we did this particular research in the, let's say, an example, manufacturing architecture. It wrote a lot of papers, got some a lot of discoveries, but in the industry, most of those things are not being put into practice. What can be the reason why, sir? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think those are the two questions we have now. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dimitri. I'll just be able to provide a little insight into what I know about this. Again, to respect many people who are on the floor, so please, I want to plead with you that you allow also other people also to contribute to this. Okay. So what I will just say first is about, well, creativity. I love the way you have put it, even to people who are not in research, even in fashion design. We stand your house. And I think that is where the issue of critical thinking, is also about skills, doing something different, adding additional value. So you may not be in the core business of doing research, as we talk about academic research, but you are creative, in your own way, right? To fetch you that edge. So I won't say that that kind of creativity is about research, but also it helps, because you are able to power your thing with some element of thinking around critically to see what value addition that you bring to them. So it always stands people as when you are creative because you have your own brand. And I think for me, it's something to promote. Either it is not, research can power creativity, but there are many creative ventures that people get into without going through the regular process of scientific research that I just mentioned. And please, I want others also to make contribution to that. The second question is about why many research don't translate to development either immediately or in the later on. So let me say this first to say that there are many research people also get involved in, and I've been privileged to also talk to professors before at postgraduate level, and this is the way I talk about it to say that even you may have students that the way they are thinking now, you may think what they are thinking is not even relevant in the now. But nobody can talk about, what did future hold. I remember I was in the US, I think that would be around 2013 or 14. We were just in a meeting. And a friend, I remember that friend mentioning about Zoom. We were just talking about different platforms. And at that meeting, I remember that person mentioning to say that Zoom and they are looking for investors. So we were just in a meeting. So we just said, what for? Already we have Skype. What do we need a Zoom for? Right? Okay. But they are already preparing to say, well, maybe there will be a time that there will be disruption, like COVID. So if you look into when Zoom started, for instance, now you say, oh, their research is nonsense. Are you coming to take over from Skype? Remember Skype? I don't even think many people remember Skype any longer. Okay. But you see, with the disruption, then the product of their research became very relevant. So one way of thinking about it is to say that there are research people are doing now that we think are not relevant, but you never can tell what the next future holds, that become relevant. It's not also every research, that people do that then would immediately translates to development. Again, don't forget the word. There's also an unending search. What somebody did and think doesn't really add value today. Somebody may pick it up from there and say, oh, maybe if we had this, or we do this in a different way, it can become something big. So many top researchers whose work has led to big developmental issues, they did not really gain success immediately after the research. It take the effort of other people working on it, to get a major breakthrough. So it's not every research, therefore, that immediately translates to development. Okay. And it's not also every research that is good enough, that will also translate. develop. But research-powered development, and there's no doubt about it. Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah, I
much,
could
sir.
just add to, yes, let me just
All right,
add to
ma'am.
that because our time is very slow, but will soon end. I think if I want to add, say anything, the prospect of your research translating into development is when you do social value research. Social value research would imply that there's truly a gap in the field. You are seeing there's a need. There's no way you're going to do a research that is addressing a need. The people who have that need will not pick it up. Okay, so if it's social valued research that is driving what you're doing and not just researching and because you want to, for other reasons that isn't about impacting life, improving wellness, then that's the problem. But what you will do depends. Of course, if your social value research is so that it's translating into creating things people would need, they will pick it up in the form of creativity or innovation. If what you're doing is research, it might be that the first research you're doing is the one that leads to the next and to the next and the ending that finally gets us there. It's not all the time that a research starts and ends in a product. Very rarely. That must be an exceptional one. It gradually opens the door, gradually opens the door, gradually opens the door, and then we get there. But the big deal, if there's anything I am leaving behind and underlining, is that your research must have social value. Social value means you are addressing a need, and where then there are needs, the research will be picked up. Thank you very much. Over.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you, sir. I think it's really been a very impactful and insightful session this morning. I'd like us to just, if possible, just use the clap icon to appreciate our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Development, Professor Akanni Akinyemi, for taking time out of his very busy schedule to, take this session for us. We are grateful, sir. Of course, when a master is handling a topic, it's different from when lay people handle, and we're grateful because this is high level. This is very, very, very helpful. Thank you, sir. And then let's also appreciate the Executive Director, Central Office of Research, Professor Morenike Wupong, who is always with us. She is guiding us every step of the way. And of course, even though I'm the one coordinating, she's the brain behind everything we are doing. So thank you very much, Ma. We are grateful. Thank you for creating this platform and making it available to us. And so I see that in the chat section, people are asking how they can receive the link. So the first thing I would like to say is I've already posted the link in the chat section so that if you need to receive links, register using that link, you will get an email will be sent to you. If you do not receive an email, check your spam box. If you check your spam box and an email is not there, then it means you probably did not write the correct email address. So that's that. Then secondly, the link is the same every week. It is the same. So you could just as well keep this link and, and continue to use it, for the subsequent ones. So the next session comes up next week. It's now Thursday or Friday. So if it will be a combined session, we would know before the day. At least on Monday, I will confirm if it's going to be by Monday. That is latest. We'll know if it's going to be a combined session next week. But if not, it means that undergraduates and postgraduate students will be meeting separately. So I want to thank everyone for joining. We are right on time, and of course, it is time to close. So we say thank you for coming. I don't know if the executive director is still here. If you want to just say goodbye to everyone. Ma.
Goodbye. See you next week. I think our topic next week is about subjectivity in research, and I will be taking that. Looking forward to having every one of you. Bye.
Yes, so thank you very much, Ma. Yes, it's a topic to also look forward to. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.